Kia ora and welcome to the Amateur Austenite. I am Frances Duncan, an author and the founder of the Jane Austen Society of Aotearoa, New Zealand. My co-host is Emma.
Hello.
Today we're discussing Chapter 27 of Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. In Chapter 27, Isabella writes and Catherine reads between the lines. So it's literally the day after James's letter, and she opens with 1,000 apologies, just like her 1,000 things to say that she never did. One can find time for nothing. She doesn't really apologise for not writing letters. She just says, I've been busy. And it makes me think of that line that's very popular on the internet. If he wanted to, he would. If she wanted to, she would. She would have made the time to write to Catherine if she'd actually wanted to. But Catherine is not currently of any use to her. Well, now she is. Hence she's getting a letter.
And what a letter it is.
Oh my God, the audacity. Your kind officers will set all right. Can you please talk to your brother and fix everything for me?
He is the only man I ever did or could love, and I trust you will convince him of it. The spring fashions are partly down, and the hats are the most frightful you can imagine.
Yep.
One sentence after the other.
Jumping to fashion. Very important. And then she goes into complaining about the Tilneys. And that you never think of me, even though you've written me 2 unanswered letters. Young men never know their minds 2 days together. Does this indicate that Captain Tilney proposed or indicated that he would?
You're obsessed, aren't you?
I am, because it's so out of character for Isabella to dump one guy when she's not secure of the other. What did he do or say? I want to know. I am so much more invested in what's going on with Isabella and Captain Tilney than anything that's going on at Northanger. I'm so sorry. I know I shouldn't be.
So, Isabella believes that Captain Tilney is going to marry her. That's the important bit. But he's not.
No.
And he never intended to.
And it's happened so quickly. You know, it was a week before Catherine left and they'd known each other a week and she was really uncomfortable. Now she's been gone 10 days. So it's potentially 3 weeks. Although, I suppose, during those times people would meet and get engaged quite quickly. His last 2 days, he ignores her for somebody else.
He's trying to detach her. Well, he's achieved his aims. He's made a fool of her.
But it's taken her 2 days to try and fix things. He went to his regiment 2 days ago. And also, she didn't do it his last 2 days when he was obviously interested in somebody else. Why she waited so long? Was she hoping that he'd actually come back? Was she grieving?
Was she horrified by what she had done? Well, she was obviously writing to James. No, she wasn't writing to James. Because she's mislaid his direction. So she knows that he's not going to receive a letter from her.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that mislaid his direction is ridiculous. He goes to the same university as her brother.
Yeah. James Morland at Oxford would find him.
She talks about not following him into the pump room, but maybe that indicates that she actually did, and calling back to her following men out of the pump room earlier on. Oh, and she says she wears purple now because it's his favourite colour, and that made me think about your, the sarcenet that we were talking about.
The puce.
Apparently purple was not a popular colour in those days. Because we don't know why Georgette Heyer decided puce was a thing, whether it was a her thing or from the time period thing.
It was popular in the Catholic Church, so
therefore it should not be popular because they're Anglican?
Yeah.
Very regal. Isn't purple supposed to be regal?
Yeah, because the dye is really expensive, but I don't know where things were at in 18 whatever.
03? Oh, and she's talking about a turban that she wore. It happened to become my odd face, I believe. At least Tilney told me so. Why is she bringing him up? Also, this feels a bit like he's negging her. He's like, oh, you look great. It suits your odd face. That you give someone a backhanded compliment to make them want to prove themselves to you.
I feel like it's Isabella saying, oh, I have an odd face, so that someone can say, so that Catherine can say, oh, your face isn't odd, you're perfectly beautiful.
Oh, I read that as that's what Captain Tilney had said.
Oh, you're so right, because it says, it happened to become my odd face, I believe. At least Tilney told me so at the time. But I assumed it meant that Tilney told her that it became her, not that her face was odd.
He seems the type that would have said something like that, because it strings her along more. Isabella is stringing Catherine along, and Catherine says she must think me an idiot or she could not have written so. And based on Catherine's behaviour, I mean, that's not terribly surprising. She does kind of come across as an idiot sometimes. She doesn't get the obvious things. She refers to Isabella as a coquette, which is a word used to describe Lady Susan. These were probably written, some of it potentially around the same time, I think. You know, Lady Susan, early drafts of Sense and Sensibility, and what would become Northanger Abbey. All the connecty things.
She's had a real turnaround in her ability to see Isabella for what she is. That letter of James's has cut through Isabella's artifice.
It is really big personal conversations to be having with Henry. He is a man she is not related to, and she's having these very personal conversations with him, talking about his brother and her previous best friend, and trying to find out what their motives were. She wonders, did he do this for mischief's sake? Which sounds like, did Captain Tilney intend to break Isabella's engagement?
And Henry's saying, basically, that he thinks vanity is at the heart of it, because he could, to prove that he could.
And he says that if Isabella had a heart to lose, she would have been treated differently. Because I think what he's saying is, she would have been in love with James and therefore not susceptible to the captain. Catherine still wants to play the good in people. She's like, she doesn't think Isabella has a heart to lose. But what if she had? What if he had made her in love with him?
That would have been very bad behaviour on Captain Tilney's part. Henry's saying that if she had truly had a heart, then Captain Tilney wouldn't have treated her like that.
That he could see that she wasn't necessarily a good person, therefore didn't mind about hurting her. Henry says he has little to say for Frederick's motives. He has his vanities, but the chief difference is that he has a stronger head. Do we think this is the chief difference between Isabella and Captain Tilney?
The chief difference is that she's a woman and so can be damaged more easily than he can.
It feels kind of like they could actually make quite a great couple. They've got similar sort of scheming-y personalities, but he's got nothing to lose, as you say, and she does. And that's the big difference. She can't do her flirt as much as she'd like. And I do think she was pretty, so he could flirt with her and he could enjoy that. And she probably, yes, enjoyed the attention, but also doubly handsome man, and he's rich. I think any woman in this time period would be stupid to not respond to that. I mean, her being engaged, not so great. But rich man, this is what you're supposed to be aiming for.
Yeah, she thought that she could land a bigger fish, but a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
And that is our discussion of Chapter 27 of Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I'm Frances Duncan, this has been Emma. Thank you for listening, and we wish you happy reading.